Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey, from all around the world, people are listening. It is a great time to be alive. Um, I always start with a little introduction about how this started for me.
Mhm.
Um, I just have been always curious as a child, and always I was the kid that would say, "But why? But why? But why?" And I never could get full answers to my satisfaction to some of the questions I was asking, because no one really has the answers to some of the questions I'm asking, like why do serendipitously two people meet, or why do good things happen to bad people? Why do bad things happen to good people? Yeah, no, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do good things happen to bad people? If there is such a thing as good or bad person. So I was really fortunate enough recently to be selected to have LinkedIn Live, which is just a thrill and an honor. And so I wanted to have something on Sundays that was spiritual in
Mhm.
nature. And so we just talk about the synchronicities and the serendipities of life, and like the awe and wonder and the beauty of randomness. And I have different speakers that come on and tell their story involving that or revolving around that.
Mm.
And so today I am so excited to have Tanya Pluckrose, who I did meet serendipitously
Yep.
through LinkedIn, through maybe the man in the blue shirt,
The
or
Bruce Canoan.
man,
Yeah.
his tagline is the man in the blue shirt. And I'm so excited because when we talked, we have had a few conversations and we have some connections. We've never met, but we have some things in common. And
Mhm.
Tanya is
Mhm.
Tanya is a success mindset and prosperity coach and trainer. She trained under Bob Proctor. She's a lot about mindset and getting results. And on her LinkedIn, it says service isn't a secret; it's a mindset system. And And then Tanya always says, right thinking, rich results.
That's
So
it.
Tanya, you can take it off from there. We should see. It looks like right now, the way this is set up, I don't get to see who is on Facebook unless they put a comment. So if you're on, not Facebook, LinkedIn. So if you're on
Mhm.
LinkedIn, type in a comment, and we can address your comment or question. And that's it. Let's. I'm going to throw it over to you, Tanya. Is anything else come to mind that you want to tell us about you in the beginning?
In the beginning, I just think for me, I, I believe that we all have a calling inside of us, Joan, and often it's our paradigm or our thinking that stops us stepping into that,
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And so I guess I have discovered through trial and error, through some very interesting experiences, since you said this is Spiritual Sunday, that there is a divine plan for all of us. And that I discovered my divine plan through, obviously, for me, it was unfortunately some tragic events that happened for me to step into that. And that often happens for people. Some adverse situations happen where we often think we're the victim, but really we are the victor if we would change our thinking about it. And
mm-hmm,
of course, understand that God is doing for us which we cannot do for ourselves.
mm-hmm,
And so for me, I believe I'm doing the divine plan for my life, which is really helping people who have spent, who sick and tired. They have spent so much um, time, money, and effort investing on the outside,
mm-hmm,
but not addressing the inside, not
mm-hmm,
changing within, going within and changing within. And so I do this. I love helping people, of course, um, with the last missing piece, I call it, and that is a repeatable evidence based mindset formula. Once you set your mind to success. Once you stop doing certain things and start doing things in a certain way, and it has to begin in your mind, because order is heaven's first law. And so whatever's happening on the outside is a reflection of your thinking on the inside. But once you get order in the boardroom of your mind, then of course everything starts to flow. And so you said Spiritual Sunday today, and I think we could start with how God has always been preparing us for our next career. And our next career is that calling. It really is that calling. And we often think you'll never be able to do that calling. But you have to really look back at all the skills. Since it's Spiritual Sunday, and I'm going to call as I say, I have a higher power in my life who I call God, but I believe that we cannot do it alone. So for any of the viewers out there, whoever you want to call your higher power, it may be the universe, it may be called spirit, divine, source, whoever. I believe that we need the support of our higher self to unlock our God-given talents, step into our greatness, and realize our potential. And so today, that's what I would love to talk about possibly how we're always being led. And let's look at some of the incidences that have happened to support us to now step into the divine plan for our life. How does that sound?
That sounds amazing. And I put some quotes that I couldn't keep up with you because your quotes were fantastic, but there was something about not doing it one way, doing it another way. What was that you talked about?
Well, we stop doing certain things.
Let me write this down.
And we start doing things in a certain way. And there's so many ways to set our mind to success, to create order in our mind, is for starters we have to understand the relationship between the conscious and unconscious mind. I believe we have to understand the universal laws. Everything is governed by law. Everything. But we often fail to remember that. We don't understand that there is a science to getting rich. And even there's a book being written about it by Wallace Wattle. And it's not about just money. It's about an abundant life where you are, of course, not only rich with money, but you are, you have richness when it comes to your mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. That all adds up to living a happy, joyous, and free life, right? And so this is what I'd love to sort of talk about, is maybe some outings that we've all had, that you and me have had, Joan, that they seem so like there was no light, but really it was a demonstration for you to showcase, to hold on. Like I said, you're in this corridor and there is no doors open, but it's almost like you have to walk through that with blind faith. But the more you take one step in front of the other, then the light appears underneath one of the doors. So then you're on the right path. But initially, it feels like you're fumbling, like what's going on? But it's all working out for your highest good.
Amazing. Could you tell us some of the things that you find that your clients are doing? So I wrote down, stop doing certain things, do things in a certain way. So can you tell us what are the top few things that you find people doing?
Well, I believe the first thing is people don't have clearly defined goals. Now, people might say, yes, I do. I've got my vision board. Yes, I know what I want. You'll find companies that have a goal for the year, but the sort of goal I'm talking about is one that is worthy of your life. It is something you really, really want.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fantasy right now. Oh, you've had it since you were a child. You've had it, but you've never actually stepped into it. And it's very different to goals that you know you can achieve or you think you can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So, a goal that you think you can achieve would be a marathon, for example, right? If I plan it out, I will eventually achieve it. But what I'm talking about is a goal worthy of your life. It's something that you really, really want, and you don't care about the how, and it's none of your business about the how, but you know you want it. That's the very first thing. You want it with all your heart, and you will do whatever it takes to get there. And so I've discovered that people are not stretching enough. So to create order in your mind, you have to give what I say your subconscious mind, I call it your GPS, a destination. And a lot of people feel, oh, it's too good to be true. I can't get it. Oh, all I'm saying is you haven't created it. You haven't actually made it into a burning desire yet. And you create it as a burning desire by starting to drop it into your subconscious mind. And once it starts to, of course, drop into your subconscious mind is the emotional center, and it's the subconscious mind that causes you to behave in a very different way once you've got clear with what you really, really want. Mm-hmm. So back to your original question, Jonah, well, how do you start doing things in a certain way? Get yourself a clearly defined goal, something that scares the living daylights out of you, right? Scares you and delights you. But you really only have to ask two questions. Do I really, really want it? And am I able to do it?
Let me write that in the chat. Do I really, really want it?
Yep. And am I able to do it?
Well, of course, I'm going to say I'm not able to do it.
Because you know why you'll say that? It's because of your belief system. It's to do with your thinking at this stage, right? But I'm here to let you know that most of us can do, or have anything we want if we don't worry about the how. Now, I'm not saying if you are now, for example, 70 and want to be a heart surgeon, that definitely would not be something I would be going after, because that's going to take you possibly another 15 years. Mm-hmm. But we have to look at your ability to perform heart surgery based on your physical stats. So I'm talking about, most people don't want to be a heart surgeon at the age of 70. Okay, right? But most of the things we really, really want, if it's an idea that you can hold in your head, guess what? You can hold it in your hand.
Wow.
Because if you can think about it, then guess what? Your higher self, God, has given you that idea. He didn't give me that idea. He didn't give Joan that idea. For your precious life, he gave you the idea. And when you have the idea and have got mental pictures about it, then that's for you. That's got your name on it. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's got your name on it, which means you have the ability to do it and bring it into fruition.
I love that. What I wrote down was, if you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't have a vision of being a heart surgeon at my age. So I have no wish to do that. So of course I don't want to create it at all. And so I would say to myself, I don't have the ability to do it because I don't have that burning desire to do it. Mm-hmm. So everyone knows what lights them up. And when you feel that fire, that inspiration, when you light up, that's God talking to you, for goodness sake, for you to step into that, right? I do know this, that when you feel expansive and inspired, that's your higher self saying, yes, go for it. But when you think thoughts and they don't make you feel good, they make you feel heavy, that's not your true self. That's your programming talking. That's the paradigm. And for those viewers who don't know, a paradigm is a set of ideas or habits that have been lodged inside our subconscious mind genetically and environmentally from the moment we were born. So we have an operating system that we live out consciously and unconsciously with monotonous repetition. And these ideas are often full of mental junk that's been put inside of us. And believe it or not, your spiritual DNA, it's perfect. It is perfect. It does not need any modification, does not need any improvement. It's perfect. But often we don't remember the truth. We don't remember the truth because we're constantly living according to the program and living our life through our five senses. And there's other ways to live. So back to your question, Joan, which is, well, how do you start to create order in your mind? Have a worthy goal. Next, you have to become aware of your current operating system, your paradigm. How are you currently running your life? Okay. And then you need to create some new ideas about how you would want to live your life. And then there's so many other ways to understanding the universal laws. That's the next thing, because everything's science. It's a science in getting rich. When you understand the universal laws, then of course you are not disturbed by outside appearances. In fact, you start to become very focused with your thinking and your reactions to the outside world because you understand the universal laws. You go ahead, ask me a few things, Joan. What's popping up for you? What are some ahas coming up for you? I don't want to just talk. I want to have you included in this, darling. So
of course. So I was curious to know, like, the main things that are blocking your clients.
Okay, the main things that are blocking my clients tends to be they don't have a worthy goal of their life. Okay, so I get my clients to stretch really, really big, and then I show them how to achieve it in a very short period of time. And so the other thing I find is what blocks my client is their self-image. And your self-image is how you think about yourself and how you think about yourself. Your self-esteem is how you feel about yourself, but your self-image is how you think about yourself. And often we have a self-image when it comes to the amount of money we can earn, the sort of job that we do, the sort of environment we live in, the sort of friends we have in our life. That's all based on our self-image of who and what we are. But that's one thing I've discovered with my clients is the moment they, first of all, get very clear with a goal that they really, really want. It's a fantasy initially, but don't worry, it becomes a reality. You have to also at the same time create a new identity about yourself. Because if you have this audacious goal, you're not going to get there if you see yourself as you are today. You have to change how you think and feel about yourself as you are moving towards your goal. They have to be in alignment. It's just not going to work. And that's why a lot of people give up. And that's why I've discovered many programs don't work. There's so many coaches out there that help people get clearly defined goals, but they fail to remember you have to create a new self-image that's in alignment with this goal. That's why people try with the behavior, which is all this strategy. For example, I'll write 50 million posts on LinkedIn. I'll make all the sales calls. But we've got to go to the root of the cause. If you are not feeling great about yourself, then guess what? There's whatever you're putting out, it's not going to generate results, because remember, how you are feeling about yourself and seeing yourself is not in alignment with. So when you get on a call, you're making a sales call, but you don't see yourself as an elite salesperson. You haven't programmed that into your subconscious mind. That's the work that needs to be done beforehand as well. The strategy works. Oh, whatever you've invested in, it's plenty. It's enough. I'm just making a suggestion that there's just one last missing piece, and that is to set your mind to success. And that's just the last missing piece. Then the strategy works. Then the marketing funnel works. Then everything starts to work. But if you're doing all these Facebook Lives and you're hoping that people will somehow want to work with you, they're not going to, because you haven't set yourself, the self-image up of a $500,000 income earner or $1 million income earner. It's a very different vibration, right? I believe that people have to convince themselves that they are worth it, that what they offer is worth it. And let me tell you, what you consciously may say, yes, I'm worth 500,000, yes. But I'm talking about, what's the belief inside the subconscious mind? That's the belief that always wins. It's not consciously, it's what's inside the subconscious mind that wins. So these are just some of the things that when you say, well, what do we do? What do my clients don't have a goal worthy of their life. Secondly, they don't understand the universal laws. They don't understand the relationship between the conscious and unconscious mind. And then I believe the biggest daddy of them all is your self-image, how you think and feel about yourself.
Wow. Now, at one point you said you walk with blind faith. And then I really loved how you said the light comes from underneath one of the doors.
Yeah.
Not that it was like a blinding light, but it was just a hint.
Right.
I don't want to say crumb, but like a tidbit that that would boost your faith and your hope and your trust in yourself and in the process and everything like that. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So I'll tell you a beautiful story, a true story for me, and it still brings me to tears of how I had to walk that path. Since I've been doing this journey and creating this new self-image about myself and doing God's work, which I truly believe is, I've been called, I know I'm doing God's work because I'm helping people really unlock their God-given talents and really step into their greatness and realize their potential. And I have been creating my business, and I have created this new self-image. And of course, this new self-image is all about living the abundance that God has provided for all of us. I have often said, why does God give someone an idea to build a beautiful car, and then someone goes along and acts on that inspired idea, builds the car, and then all of us are meant to look and stare and say, gee, I wish I could have that and drive that. I'm thinking God gives each of us ideas for us to support each other, to live his bounty, to enjoy his bounty. Okay. So I created this new self-image, and I'm always living from the end. Always. Everything I do is living from my future self. Now, what would she say? What would she be doing? And so this idea came to move to Las Vegas. I was living in California. And so I followed intuition. I actually don't live my life according to my five senses anymore. I live my life according to my higher faculties, which is spending more time becoming an expert using my imagination, my will, reason, perception, memory, and intuition. So I was intuitively guided to come to Las Vegas. And I when you get an inspired idea, you have to act quickly, right? Money loves speed, success loves speed. Okay, so I decided to move to Las Vegas, and so I found a beautiful apartment block. Oh, it's luxury. But remember, I want to enjoy the fruits of God's bounty. So I said, yes, that's for me. Constantly living from the end that I'm here to enjoy all of God's beautiful bounty. So I packed up my car, packed up everything, and on a Saturday morning, I took off. And I had in the car my two Siamese cats, Sydney and Serafina, and I put them in soft cases, in very soft cases. And I'm moving to Las Vegas. I didn't know anyone here. I knew of people, but no one. I didn't really know anyone.
So brave, so brave.
So I'm like, say yes to opportunities. Some make sense and some don't. But this is your precious life. And when you're given an inspired idea, you go for it. So I went, yep, I'm moving to Las Vegas. So I found the apartment, packed up everything, left California at 6 a.m. And I had Sydney and Serafina in their soft cases. And I literally had maybe been driving for 45 minutes. And then Serafina, the girl, she starts to poke her head through the cover of the soft case. I'm like, what? And I was like, hang on. Okay, I'm going to share with all of you. I had given them a little bit of a mother's little helper, which is, how can we say, a sedative that I had purchased from the vet. I'd actually gone to the vet 3 days before to purchase some mother's little helper to calm them both down for the drive, because they are Siamese and they tend to yell the place down. So I had given them some stuff at 4 a.m., put them in the car thinking I'm set, okay? I'd done it. I wanted to be so humane, have a lovely experience for them and be, give them a lovely experience as well. So I thought they were pretty floppy and drugged out. But lo and behold, a head pops up and I'm like, what the? So I pulled over, put it back in a cage, kept driving, and then of course she pops out again. And then I was like, oh goodness, I've got to put it. So I put the blanket on top of her. Don't worry, the panels on the side, she still could poke her head through and breathe. I was not suffocating her. Okay, so I thought she settled. Okay, so I've got 145 miles to go. I'll be good. And then of course, Sydney then starts to get out. And I'm like, what? And they both are next to me. So I pull over, sort him out, get going. And this is a game I'm playing, and it's getting worse and worse. Okay, so as I'm leaving LA, right, there's no turning back now, right? There is only the highway I'm going, and all the semis are going past backwards, right?
Oh my
God! Vegas imports everything, so I'm pulling over, stuffing them back in, pulling over, stuffing them back in. I did actually pull over and give them a little bit more of the mother's little helper, thinking, okay, maybe I really need to give them a bit more. But by this stage, they're so anxious that they don't care. They are going for it. So eventually Sydney eats his way out of the cage, the mesh, and his head pops up. And I'm like, Serafina, luckily I had the pillow and blanket, so she's okay. And so I was able to push him inside and put my hand inside. But as I was doing that, I took the sharp curve down this embankment, nearly ran into a semi as I come back up on the embankment, and I kept going. And I just remember saying, that was the dark corridor, because I was too far from LA to turn back. And I think had like 120 miles to go to get to Vegas. And I just thought, I just have to believe in God. I have to act the faith. I just have to act. And this was the dark corridor. And in fact, I kept looking for a PetSmart to pull over. and somehow get them better cages, but there was nothing. This is the bloody desert. And so I put my hand in and I kept driving, and I drove like this for 120 miles. And all I could do is just trust God. And I just kept going and going. And eventually the signs of land, I really felt like I was Christopher Columbus. I'd been out, for a year on the ship. And finally there were signs of land, right? Which wasn't a bird, a dolphin, and an extra fish. It was just signs of land getting closer to Vegas, which, as you know, is all the casinos. I've never been so happy to see a casino, and I don't even gamble. I can't stand it. So I didn't move to Vegas for that, but the signs of land started to happen. And I just kept driving, and I just remember getting to the hotel, and I was shaking, but I was so grateful. And I finally got into the hotel room, and I just burst into tears because of the relief, but the gratitude I had for my higher power that day. And that was such a wonderful demonstration for me to keep the course no matter what, as I continue to do God's work, as I continue to show up. And so that's what I wanted to remind the audience today, that you're never alone. Once you step into your divine plan for your life, I promise you, you will be all right. And you're constantly being given these beautiful demonstrations to act the faith, to stay the course. Just act the faith, and God will send you something so out of the blue that is a demonstration to keep going no matter what. I've got you. I've got you, and it's going to be all right. So that was a beautiful story of showcasing how we're never alone, that can be transported to when you are, of course, doing the scary things now, and that's stepping into your greatness and your full potential.
I wanted to say, for the listeners that have never driven from Southern California to Las Vegas, there's a long stretch of absolutely nothing, and just goes on and on and on, and these huge semis, and sometimes the semis with the connected thing, and no matter how big your car is, these things are flying by you, and then sometimes you're going like this. Sometimes it's really windy in that area, and so when you start to see the casinos at the state line, right where California and Nevada come together, they have some casinos immediately, and that's way built up compared to what it was 30 years ago. But you go, okay, all right, I'm almost there, and still you have a ways to go.
Yep.
You still have a ways to go, but I know exactly what you mean when you're saying.
But it was such a metaphor, Joan, when you think about it. It was a metaphor really to showcase that whatever you do, it's going to be a journey, but just keep taking the next step. You will get to the destination. And that was, I believe, was the metaphor in it, to put towards anyone doing their business, that you only just need to keep going and you will get there. That's how I saw it as well.
Let's see.
Well, can you relate? Do you have a story? Let me ask you this. Do you have a similar story with you starting up your own business and doing what you're doing? Anything come to mind, a demonstration that happened for you?
Well, I'll tell you. And Bill, if you have one, type it in the chat and we'll talk about yours. I've had so many in my life, but one of the biggest ones I've had recently was in 2015, I was diagnosed with a very rare cancer in my eye, ocular melanoma, which is very rare, and there's very few people that can treat it. And so right before that, I started getting restless, irritable, and discontented.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know what I need, but I need something different. And so and then I got the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an incredibly horrible boss at the time. And then on December 31st, like my best friend, like running buddy at the time, because she was single and I was single. We would go to single events. We would go online dating. We would go to like speed dating. We had so much fun together. Suddenly passed away in her sleep, and I was a wreck. I was a wreck, and I went to grief counseling, and then I just happened to see this job in what I worked for the government for most of my life, 35 years. And I saw this job for what I was at the time, code enforcement manager in a place called the county of San Mateo. Well, I had never heard of San Mateo. I had to look it up on a map. But I almost felt like pushed to go there. And it was just crazy. I sold my house. I was 56 years old, sold everything I owned, whatever I could fit into my car. I took with me.
Yeah.
And it was a 3-year contract. And there's many more synchronicities and serendipities in the whole process. But as you were saying, I continually just said, God, if you want me there, put me there. If you want me here, keep me here. And if you open the door, I'm going to walk through it. And if you close the door, I'm going to stay here. I'm fine. I'm fine here where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, looking back, I was like, which makes total sense. I was a little bit out of my mind because I was following this spiritual thing that no one else could understand. And I went there, and it was an extremely difficult time for me, but I had I don't regret it. Now I'm back in San Diego because my daughter had a baby. My daughter had her first baby, and much more important, my first grandchild.
Yeah.
And so, I can't even explain it, but that is, I felt it. I felt that. And I feel that for anyone that's listening, it's something that you train. You have to train yourself to listen and to see the awe and the wonder of life that so many people don't see.
Mm.
And I just took the next indicated step. Like, I had never flown for an interview before. And that was pretty cool. Since it was the government, I had to pay for it my own. But there were different things. Like, I'd never done this. I'd never done this. So I went to this new place where I didn't know anyone. And nothing was rote. Nothing was like, how sometimes you drive home and you go, oh, I don't even remember getting here, because you're on autopilot.
Yes.
You click the blinker up when you want to go right. You click it down when you want to go left, and it just, you're autopilot. So there was no autopilot. There was a total rewiring of my brain. Like, where do I get gas? Where's the grocery store? I didn't know anything. And so it was, well, you're going through that right now. And it was, I've always said that I have a bigger child inside me than most people. So it was very childlike. It wasn't childish, because there's a difference between childlike and childish, but it was very childlike. Like, oh, let's go see what we can find today. And they make it so easy with the phone. We have the map on our phone and everything. Gosh, could you imagine if we were doing this with the maps and map of the state, map of the, yeah. So, I don't regret it. Even if it had been the worst time, it was a really, really difficult time. And, but I don't regret going.
Right. Because it's always darkest before the dawn, but the dawn always comes.
Uh-huh.
And the dawn has come. But we often, think we're crazy when we're doing it in that moment. And it doesn't seem, even when I got here, Joan, like you, everything fell apart. Like the removalists, that they didn't show up with my stuff when they were meant to. I was stuck in a hotel for nearly 2 weeks. And and thank goodness I'd had the big demonstration like you had. You took that leap of faith, and I still had to do some more work. But boy, it was growing your backbone, and it was building your faith muscle more and more, so that more and more. And what it was really doing is developing trust in yourself. Trust in yourself that you can actually you can do it, but also you're also doing it with the power greater than yourself, right? It's creating a much deeper relationship or more intimacy with your creator, but it's also you developing a new identity about yourself, right? Definitely. And this is what happens often when we take these big leaps. It's about creating a new version of ourselves.
Absolutely. Now, Bill wrote something. Let's see
what did he write. Let me see. I've got to get my glasses on here.
I got into sales back in 2005 after being in a great job for 22 years. It was a leap of faith, and the rest has been history. I was very hesitant, but my wife said, go for it. Jumped into base commission. I'm so glad I did. My 22 years was preparing.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. That, when I got there, I said I was, people would say, oh, that's where Silicon Valley is. I had no idea. I do my best to not watch the news. I'm just too sensitive to see all the negativity and the hatred. And so I seriously thought it was Silicon Valley, and it was in Los Angeles, and that's where women got boob jobs. No lie. And so when I got there, I was like, oh, wow, look, there's Facebook. Oh, wow, there's Google. Oh, it was amazing. It was just crazy. But
so cute.
Yeah. So Bill, that's amazing. And did you feel spiritually led? And I love that your wife was supportive.
Yeah.
My poor kids had no idea, like, what is she doing now? Because I'm always doing something that is not indicative of my age. And so Kenneth, he's saying from Sugarland. Oh my God, is that where that country music group gets their name? Because I love Sugarland.
Hi, Kenneth. Nice to meet you.
And then Bill and Kenneth must know each other.
Yeah.
And Bill is saying that Kenneth is a phenomenal man. Okay, Kenneth, you'll have to come on one of my shows one time.
Yeah.
Sometime. And then Bill, back to Bill's story. No question, I was scared. Yeah, I mean, taking the steps doesn't mean you're not scared.
No, you've got to do it afraid. Do it afraid, but do it anyway.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. What do people say? Courage is fear that has said its prayers.
Its prayers. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Just like everybody is scared.
Can I ask you, Kenneth, do you have a story? I mean, I love Bill's one. Wow. Do you have a story similar that you'd want to share just in the chat where you have taken a leap of faith and it's paid off in great dividends. You know, there's no regrets. But at the time, I know it was very scary. Do you want to put that in the chat?
Okay, let's see. They're kind of talking to each other right now.
know.
Let's see. Bill, I know all about you. And then Kenneth says, oh, just for my information, maybe is just southwest of Houston.
Okay.
And now here we go. All right, Kenneth, we're looking for a story that has serendipity, synchronicity, spirituality in it.
Yeah.
If you have one.
Because it's Spiritual Sunday, and that's why we are going a little bit more deeper.
And since we're talking about spirituality and God today, when you talk about people saying that they have to have a worthy goal, is what I wrote down, and a paradigm shift or a change in their paradigm system. I think that that's when you know it's like God, when it's beyond a thought that you could ever have.
Very much.
And it's not scary, like I'm going to get killed or lost, or, you know, there was some comfortability I had, like, I'm pretty brave, but I do have to have some security. And so it was within those paradigms, that the parameters, that I was able to do some of it. And yeah, so Bill says 40 years ago he moved from 40 years in Houston from New York City. So going from New York City to Houston must have been a really big switch. Kenneth, same employer for 33 years. I love my job. It doesn't feel like work.
Oh,
that's amazing.
Well, lucky for you. It sounds like you're doing the divine plan for your life, which is wonderful.
Gosh, so few people can say that. And most of my clients, most of my coaching clients, we're working together to help them survive and thrive in a very hectic, overwhelming situation. Yeah.
And it often does feel like survival, because I believe that most people, eventually, what I've discovered is your self-image changes. And that's why there's no alignment anymore with that position, because I truly believe if you've been doing something for a very long time, often a lot of people end up doing a job that someone else suggested they'd be really good at. But that's not who they really are and want to be doing. It's not, and hence why it feels like survival is they've lost the burning desire to be there. But when they get clear with what they really want to do, which I believe is an inspired idea from a power greater than yourself, then of course, when you start taking action towards that, then of course, nothing will stop you. I mean, I get my clients to go after a want, to really own that want, that they are prepared to die for it. I mean, because if you look at, so I love studying, as you know, I'm a mentee of Bob Proctor, and he gets us to read certain books. And one of the books is Think and Grow Rich. Funny that Bob Proctor's been studying that for 63 years, every single day. And there's a chapter on persistence. And he says, Napoleon says, you have to have a want. And the want, really, you're prepared to dedicate your life to it. But persistence and want go together. They actually marry up. They have to marry up to keep you going. And all of us have to pass the persistence test. We will constantly be tested as we go after our want, okay? But the persistence test is a lot easier if you are doing something you really love to do. For you, Joan, your clients, you're helping them stay persistent in an arena that no longer serves them, that their self-image has outgrown.
That's what I was trying to write in the chat.
It's outgrown. Right.
Okay. So you said at some point, what I wrote was your self-image changes and then continue.
Well, your self-image changes because we're here for growth and expansion. We are engineered for success.
Okay.
And so we're engineered for success. Our success is guaranteed. It's inevitable. But it's important, I have discovered, that you dedicate your life to something that you really, really want. I mean, most people make a decision about living an interesting life, which means they do things that are convenient. But if you are going to live an extraordinary life, right, it means you are committed to making it happen no matter what, which means, of course, you will only accept results, not excuses.
Oh my God, I love that. Accept results, only excuses.
Not excuses. Yeah.
Before I put this in, let me make sure I said it right. Your self-image changes and you no longer fit where you are.
You don't.
That's correct? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to put, Bill also says that As a Man Thinketh is
That's a great book. Yes. Yes. I love that book as well.
I hadn't heard of it. And then Kenneth is saying, I thought Texas was dirt, saloons, and smelly horses. and Kenneth, let's be honest, and a lot of white people. I know when it just snowed, people were like, it snows in Texas? I thought Texas was, it was just barren. So, yeah.
Well, that's like Australia. People think, oh, I'm originally from Australia. And a lot of people think, oh, it doesn't snow in Australia. Oh, yes, it does. They have really cold winters in certain parts of Australia. It's not just all bush, kangaroo, and gum trees and wallabies and koalas. Oh my God, there's other things apart from Steve Irwin, bless him, God bless him, he's gone now. Steve Irwin and all the wildlife.
Right. And that nobody actually says, I'll put another shrimp on the Barbie.
No, they don't.
Exactly.
Right. So.
All right. Well, we're coming to an end. Is there anything that you wanted to say that you haven't said? I'd like to repeat. We probably have some listeners, but these are the two people that are actually putting comments in right now that you said, and see how this resonates with Bill and Kenneth. Stop doing certain things and start doing things in a certain way. I love that.
Yeah. And that's really creating the order in your mind. So I guess my parting words are, order is heaven's first law. And in order to live in a heavenly state, you have to live in an order state, have order. And I believe that you create order in your mind, then everything changes on the outside. Everything changes. So I guess for anyone who's listening now, that's Kenneth, and we've got Bill. And for anyone who's going to watch this broadcast, hi, Kenny, sorry, Kenny. For anyone who's going to watch this broadcast, I just say that, today is the day. You can make a decision today to go after what you really, really want. And you can start right now by getting clear with what you really, really want, and then creating a self-image that's a match to that goal that you really, really want. And then, of course, start to reprogram your subconscious mind for success. And before you know it, in a very short period of time, you literally will need a telescope to look back at your old life and your old self. So I'm saying to everyone, life's too short to live a compromised life. Don't do things that are interesting because you'll do things that are not convenient. Do things, go after something you want, make a commitment to it, which is really a decision, and then go all out as if your life depends on it, and then watch the magic happen.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay.
So if anyone wants to get back contact, I'm on LinkedIn. I do daily posts. I make videos, lots of videos, and I've got a Facebook group, Right Thinking Rich Results. Right Thinking Rich Results. Come and join it. I'm always posting in that every day.
Let me write that one here.
If anyone would love some support in helping get clear, because a lot of people don't get clear with what they really, really want because they think they can't achieve it. But you spend a little time with me, I'll get you juiced up. I'll get you juiced up to go after what you really, really want. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
Oh, so what a delicious hour. Thank you so much.
It was delicious. It was delicious.
Wasn't it? A divine appointment, I call this.
A divine appointment.
Wasn't it? On Spiritual Sunday. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Bill. Thank you, Joan.
See you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye, darling.
Okay.
Bye.
Let me just end this.